Helping a customer find an Eee-whoa cable, by user Emerald_encrusted. Alright, so this took place quite a number of years ago when I worked in sales for a tech company that sold a large number of electronics, appliances, and other technical products. On occasion, I would help out our service team if it was a slow sales day and handle calls that would come in at their desk. This let them focus on actual work that needed to be done instead of dealing with inane customer consultation. Yes, it was very inefficient from a business standpoint to help random strangers over the phone for free. Anyway, I pick up the phone when it rings. Hi, you've reached Emerald at Company Tech Support, how are you doing today? Heavy breathing on the other end for a moment. Then, I need an Eee-whoa cable. Do you guys carry those? I'm sorry, a what cable? Eee-whoa. I know it sounds dumb, I've never heard of such a cable in my life. And I like to think I'm normally a pretty technical guy. What device are you needing it for, sir? That'll maybe help us narrow down what kind of cable you're looking for. It's a camera. Like, a professional quality video camera. My friend was a videographer but he gave me this one after he upgraded. Said his new one was way better and anyway, it needs an Eee-whoa cable in order to connect properly, I think. It's supposed to be able to send video straight to a computer box or something like that. Of course, sir. Alright. Let's go back to basics. What's got you thinking the cable is called Eee-whoa? It says it on the camera, right beside the port. Can you spell out Eee-whoa for me? Sure. I-W-O-H-I-W-O-H. It says Eee-whoa. Odd. I've never wait a minute. What? What is it? Do you have an Eee-whoa cable? Sir. Sir, can you rotate the camera 180 degrees and tell me what the letters say upside down? H, D, M, O, fuck me. How to save $150 a month by spending $2,800, by user NoFlyson4G. A little background, I'm a paralegal at a small law firm who is slightly more tech savvy than anyone in my office. About 9 months ago, my boss gave me a raise and a small reduction in my required billable hours so I could make IT stuff a part of my job. Overall, I like the new role and additional responsibility, but to be clear, I'm not especially tech savvy. I basically set up hardware and people call me with their problems to see if I can solve it. Most of the time, I just have them call our third-party IT company. I just know that the HDMI cable goes into the hole shaped like an HDMI cable. My boss, we'll call him Dave, is a wannabe hardass in an extremely not hardass law firm and has been on a bit of a tear lately over IT costs. Dave is a lawyer. He's not an accountant or IT guy. He's been micromanaging, sending me contradictory emails within minutes of each other. Almost every 2 weeks he tells me to start looking for a new third-party IT company and then recants within the hour, and becomes angry when he gets any pushback or suggestions whatsoever to his ideas. Last month, the big thing was the number of computers being serviced by our IT company. He gave me a list of 10 computers that he wanted taken off service with our IT company. I mentioned that maybe we should keep a spare or 2 in case something goes wrong with one of the 75 other computers we have at the firm. Our IT company expressed this concern as well. He is not interested and tells me to just get the fucking computers off service. I can't believe we're still paying for this bullshit. So I do. Every computer he listed is taken off of service. The firm saves about $150 a month in IT costs. Fast forward about 2 weeks to yesterday. An attorney's laptop died and needed to be replaced, and an off-site office had a similar issue with an attorney's desktop. I call our IT company to get 2 computers put back on service, but for reasons beyond my tech understanding, there were issues and it took almost 4 hours to get everything up and running as needed and out to the proper parties. Here's the thing. The firm charges $115 an hour for my paralegal work. They charge $0 an hour for my IT work. The firm lost out on $460 in my billable time as well as $2,400 for the 2 $300 an hour attorneys without working computers because the boss wanted to save $150 this month. The best part? I'm not telling anyone. Not Dave, not accounting, not the partners. I don't care and it's not like any money saved will be used for future raises. I hadn't gotten one for about 3 years before the IT role came along. Family Tech Support, by user Eee-whoa. My family called me in a bit of a panic because their dryer wouldn't start. They pressed buttons, tried unplugging and replacing. So I get in the car, travel around 30 minutes to their place. I walk over to the machine, Glance at the panel, and in under a minute, it's working again. They ask me, what happened? I said, child lock. They ask, how did you fix it? I answered, dead serious, I'm not a child. That was my only answer. Even when pushed. They got pissed. Everyone did, including me, kinda. But I wasn't joking, I was just being honest. Guess I'm about to be called again later. Child lock. There was even a lock icon on the screen. Pressing any button just made the lock icon flash. Right next to it was factory printed text saying something like, hold for 3 seconds. So, I held the lock combo button for 3 seconds. Dryer unlocked. Dryer works. End of story. They, disconnected, invoice printer won't print, by user Hammond_Rai. Our customer base was equipment dealerships, database in AS400S, PC network as workstations and to run branded part databases. This was back in the days when printers were hard-cabled. Customer complaint, invoice printer not printing. He tells me which computer it is connected to. Remote desktop and customer having high-speed internet was rare back then, so I'm dialed into his AS400 looking at the status of the printers on the network while also talking to him on the phone and having him be my eyes for the Windows computer and the printer. I'm just not seeing the invoice printer online even though he insists it is connected to name. Customer is starting to get kind of irate. We need our invoice printer now, etc. One of those customers who want it fixed but is too impatient to help make it happen. I don't want to call him a liar, but things just are not adding up. Let's trace the cables. I already told you printer is connected to name. I know, sir, but if you would just humor me, perhaps we have a loose or bad cable. I walk him through finding the parallel printer cable connected to the back of the printer. Now please physically follow that cable and tell me where the other end goes. It's just laying here on the desk. Say again. It's not connected to anything. It's just here on the desk. I thought you told me it is connected to name. Well, yeah, that's the PC it connects to, but right now that PC is out for repairs, so the printer cable isn't hooked up to it. Cue silent face palms. The dude had already told me multiple times he had checked the cable and it was connected to name. Once I got an honest answer, it took no time at all to temporarily move their invoice printer to a PC that hadn't been sent away for repairs. Feels so good when a simple solution works, by user Pepperin 1 in a million. Here's a simple, sweet palette cleanser for all you hard-working IT professionals who have messy troubleshooting problems. I'd set up a couple of wireless access points for my parents because they live in a big old brick house, and their router signal wasn't penetrating throughout everywhere they needed it. Specifically, I set up one in the back room of the house furthest from the router, and one in the living room because they needed a strong signal in there for their Roku. I tried to name the networks the same so that my parents' devices would switch seamlessly between them, but for some reason the iPad would prefer to stay connected to a faint signal than switch to a stronger one. That was beyond the limits of my IT knowledge. I'm savvy for a loser, but no expert, so I named the back one backroom and the other one living room, and fortunately my mum was more than capable of using the settings menu to switch as needed. I set up the Roku for them and connected it to living room, and it functioned fine for a number of years. After those years, the wireless access point in the living room died completely, so I said I'd look at it when I was next there. My mum had told me that they'd switched ISP and their new router was much stronger, so I decided to just reconfigure the Roku to use that. Unfortunately though, my parents had failed to warn me that they'd lost the remote for the Roku, and had been using the remote control app on their phones, which connect to the Roku over Wi-Fi, which was now broken. So I found myself in a bit of a pickle. How can I reconfigure the Roku to connect to Wi-Fi when the only way of controlling it is through the Wi-Fi that it isn't currently connected to? I thought it was a long shot, but I decided to try swapping the wireless access point from the back room, and renaming it to living room, and see if the Roku would connect to it automatically. I honestly expected it to fail. How often is a front-facing username important in IT? I assumed, in my completely inexpert way, that there would be some kind of unique identifier for the access point other than its name. But I tried it, and it worked. I got connected to the Roku, changed its settings to connect to the, now adequate, main Wi-Fi, and then put the access point back where I'd taken it from, after renaming it again, of course. Is there any better feeling than when a simple solution just works?